Hey there and welcome. My name is Pete and this is channel update number 5 of the year. Let's talk about the upcoming month of May 2021. Before we do though, a quick look back at April and the effects of the beginning of a new semester, which I already mentioned in the last channel update video. Yes, those were once again noticeable in April as well. It's always those 3 to 4 weeks in late March, early April where I don't really have that much time for YouTube, and the numbers here do reflect that, with slightly more than 700,000 views, about 160,000 hours of watch time, and roughly 1,200 new subscribers. Now, I am aware that this is complaining at a high level, but if you are normally used to a bit more than that, and if YouTube is one of your 2 jobs, then seeing the numbers take a dip like that is of course not really satisfying. On the other hand, I do of course take my job at the university and the obligations that come with it very seriously, and spending a bit more time on preparing courses and seminars instead of making videos is usually rewarded, although you guys of course don't get to see that. So in that regard, this is something that I have kind of learned to live with. The entire thing will likely repeat itself in late September, early October, but at the end of the day, as long as the channel is still growing, you won't see me complain too much. And to keep the channel growing, let's take a look at the road ahead now, because in the upcoming weeks and months, things could get interesting. For starters, our Mutant Year Zero series will come to an end very soon. At the moment, I think we have 3 more episodes left and then the game is completed, and then we have to make a decision about whether or not we want to play the Seed of Evil DLC. Still, even if we decide to do that, that won't take forever either, so sooner or later that series spot will open up for something new. A very similar fate is also slowly creeping up for our RimWorld series. I already mentioned it in Tuesday's episode. I firmly believe that we are one good kill box away from heading towards the grand finale, and even though I have a few ideas for that, which may take 2 or 3 episodes to realize, ultimately I don't see the series running for much longer than episode 50. And that brings us to the long-anticipated question of what comes next, and one game that I have my eyes on and that I want to talk about today is Rome Total War, or as it is now called, Total War Rome Remastered. I have been a long-time fan of the Total War series, at least of the more historical titles. I could never really get into that whole Warhammer thing, and the recent release of the Rome Remaster has brought back that itch. That is also why I have already posted 2 community polls about it on my channel, although I have to admit I am still not entirely sure if this is a series that I want to do. For me, when I think about launching a new series, the one question that I always ask myself is, can I bring something unique to the table? And with Rome Total War, I don't really know if I could. Don't get me wrong, I know that my overall approach to video games is perhaps a bit unique, but ideally I would like the appeal of a potential series to go a bit further than that. The entire situation is not really helped by the fact that Rome Total War is not the hardest game in the world. Even on very hard difficulty and playing with a supposedly very hard faction, the game is still very much winnable if you know what you're doing. For that reason, I have also quickly thought about doing something like a mercenaries only or peasants only challenge, but that's the point where the completionist in me starts to get a bit nervous, because playing the game that way would undoubtedly mean missing out on a huge amount of content, and when I feature a game on this channel, I would like to show off as much of it as possible, and not just one big peasant horde decimating the entirety of Europe. That is, by the way, also the reason why I would never consider playing a solo challenge for games like Knights of the Old Republic or Dragon Age Origins, because yes, of course it is more difficult to play that way, but at the same time those games absolutely live through their characters, and so pushing them aside at every opportunity might be something that I would consider doing in my personal private playthrough, but never in a full series on this channel. Now, bringing those thoughts back to Rome Total War, the easiest solution might be to just play one of the Roman houses, as those are definitely the ones that you experience the most of the game's storyline elements with. And considering that, again, I think the game can be won as any faction anyway, we might as well push the whole difficulty aspect aside and just focus on the faction that allows us to show off the most of the game. At that point, however, we are more or less back at square one, because a playthrough like that has been done hundreds of times on YouTube, and again, to keep you entertained, I think it needs a bit more than that. And so, as I upload this video, I am still a bit unsure about what to do, and I also don't really expect you guys to make the choice for me. I simply wanted to share my thought process with you, and to perhaps help you better understand that the decisions that I make about the games that I play on this channel are not so much questions of what game do I want to play, but much more how do I want to play that game. And maybe I was able to show you that this can sometimes lead to conflicting positions, as the entire thing is unfortunately a bit more complicated than just asking myself whether or not I want to play Rome Total War. But enough about that. If I decide to make a series on it, you will see that for yourself soon enough. And I feel like this deserves a quick mention, I am also optimistic that it would be well received. After all, I can confidently say that this community has not let me down when it comes to watching whatever I put out there. Still, I feel like that is a trust that goes both ways, and that is why I sometimes tend to perhaps overthink a video or even a series, because as much as I can rely on your support, I want you to be able to rely on quality above all. And speaking of your support, this gives me a nice segue into our final item today, as we are about to wrap things up, but of course not before giving a shout out to all the new patrons who have joined us in April. And so, as always, in no particular order, I want to say thank you to Neurotic Skull, Robbery Appendages, Seleucus, Big Creamies, Balash Batari, Potato, Liam Dennehy, Be Well, Happy and Peaceful, Calum, Tim Haggerty, Matthew Bush, Martin Madrignac, Matt Lewin, Ayunday, Vile Funseeker, Pinpoint Teacher, Blubish Kawa, Kalisha, Annan Funk, Kira Cosmo, Kipzor, Nathan McVitie, and Max Mayhew. Thank you all so much for deciding to support the channel via Patreon. Not only does that mean a lot to me, and of course also gives you a few perks as well, but it also allows me to keep dreaming about what else might be possible with Pete Complete, so thank you for perhaps having the same dreams that I have. And with that being said, let's make the cut for today. At some points in this video I may have rambled a bit, but I still hope that overall you enjoyed it, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course do that as well. For starters, by subscribing to stay up to date, by grabbing some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or by supporting me over on Patreon as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.